everyone, my name is Brian Seymour, and I am the Director of Instructional Technology for Pickerington Local Schools. I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening as we start our one-to-one distribution nights. Tonight, your student will receive their Chromebook, in which they will use until they get up and through 9th grade. Once they get into 9th grade, they will get a new Chromebook, whatever the newest model or whichever one we pick at that point. What I'd like to do during this next 10 to 15 minutes is to go over some key points of our one-to-one program. I'd encourage you also to please check out our school district website, www.pickerington.k12.oh.us. Underneath departments, you will find a link for instructional technology. In that link, you will find lots of resources for the instructional technology department, as well as resources and forms, different types of software, our contact information, and the Pickerington Schools technology plan in which the one-to-one program is a part of. So if you have any questions at all about the Pickerington Schools technology plan, please check out here, and you can see that there is a wealth of information. The most pertinent piece dealing with the Chromebooks is the second to last option, which is Student Chromebook Handbook. So if you're looking for more detailed information as to what we're going over today, please check out the Student Chromebook Handbook on the Pickerington.k12.oh.us website. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce you to the device that our students are going to have. This is what's known as the Dell Chromebook 11. It is the newest Chromebook that was just released by Dell. It's got a brand new screen and brand new features that I think will be very useful for our students. So the nicest thing with this is this has a touch screen to it. It also has a full keyboard. It also has a full layout, which means that you can actually take the Chromebook and actually lay it completely flat. So we don't have to worry about kids cranking on the screens and possibly breaking those off. They do have Wi-Fi. They do have USB ports and an HDMI cable that they can use to project, and they'll be using those in the Innovation Lab, which is a new classroom we created this year. They also have a 16 gigabyte hard drive and 4 gigabytes of RAM. Now you may be thinking that's not a lot of hard drive space. These are in the cloud devices, so the students will be using their Google accounts to log into these. They'll be using their Google Drive, they'll be using Gmail, Calendar, and Google Classroom, as well as a few others. The other really cool part to this Chromebook that none of the other Chromebooks have are this indicator light that's up here in the corner. Teachers can actually do polls with the kids and ask, if you think the answer is this, turn your light to red or yellow or blue. They could also use it for if kids need help in the classroom. They could say, please turn your light to red if you need my help right away while we're doing this lab or this activity. The other thing that the Chromebooks have that'll be a little different than other devices that we've had in the past is these devices will not be allowed to print. And it's part of our initiative to use less paper, but not completely paperless. So students will be turning in everything in digitally as they go through the year. So a lot of our teachers will start out using Google Classroom, and that is where a lot of the information will be turned in and turned out, or handed out and turned back in. Parents, you will also be seeing less paper going home with you, with your student. So if you're looking for what it is that the kids are doing, ask them to log in to Google Classroom and ask them to show you exactly what it is that they're doing. The other thing that you'll notice is that these all have apps on them, just like an iPhone or an iPad will. Kids are allowed to install apps through the Google Web Store, and teachers will show kids how to do that because teachers will be asking kids to do that as well. Through the technology department, my team can actually push out apps to the entire school system as well. So if there's an app that the entire school district needs, we can do that within a couple of seconds. There are numerous apps that we have blocked, and we have blocked those because they are inappropriate for school. They could possibly be malware or adware, which could damage the computer. So there are about 500 of them that we have already blocked. Parents, if you have a concern about a certain app that possibly your child has downloaded or possibly a friend of your child's has downloaded, please let your child's teacher or your child's principal know. We'll examine that app, and if we need to, we'll block that app as well. And once we block an app on a Chromebook, if some kids have already installed it, the block actually pulls that app back and doesn't allow anybody to have it anymore. Students, you are allowed to personalize your device if you'd like to. You can put stickers on the front cover, and the picture you see here is the front cover. There are a couple things that we're asking you not to cover up, though. We're asking you not to cover up the Pickerington School logo. We're asking you not to cover up this asset number. Each Chromebook has its own unique asset number, so we need to know whose that is if it gets lost or stolen, or if it needs repairs. And then also, this is that indicator light up here that I was talking about. So students, if you want, I've got mine here for you. So here's mine. As you can see, I've put some stickers on there. And please make sure not to cover up those 3 items that we've asked you not to cover up. Okay? We're also asking that nothing goes on the sides because you've got your ports, and then nothing goes on the bottom as well because that's where your vents are at, and if you cover those up, your computer's not going to work properly. So if you'd like to put stickers or personalize it, you're more than welcome to on the front cover. All right, I'd like to take a minute to talk about device ownership, filtering, and monitoring. The first step of today was the paperwork station, and you have filled out the device agreement, which basically says that this agreement will allow you to be loaned a Chromebook, and the student agreed to it and the parent agreed to it. So I just want to go over a couple points with this. The equipment is still owned by Pickerington Local School District. The equipment is being loaned to the student. Okay. Administration has the right at any time to ask to get into your Chromebook. Okay. So if we suspect that something is not working or something's not done appropriately, teachers and administrators have the ability to get into to see your Chromebooks. These are school-issued devices. Okay. Parents, just to let you know, all of the Chromebooks have filtering software on them, which means that students will not be able to get into inappropriate material inside of school or even outside of school. So the filtering software that we've installed works 24/7, 365 days. The software allows us to go in and block certain web pages, as well as large-scale things like malware, adware, pornography, inappropriate type websites that our students should not be going to. So with that, we also ask that parents please monitor what your students are doing while they're at home with these devices. If there's a website that they're able to get to for one reason or another that you think is inappropriate, same thing as with the apps, please contact your teacher, please contact your building principal. We'll take a look at it, and then we'll evaluate it and see if it needs to be added to the blocked list. Also, the same thing goes if there's a website that has pertinent educational interest and it's being blocked. So if there's something that kids need to go to and they're not able to, we can also unblock those websites. So please let us know. And since you guys are the first group, we'll kind of have to work through this a little bit through this first year to figure out what is okay and what's not okay for us to be able to block. All right. The other piece is that our teachers will have a monitoring software as well, and this software is more of an instructional tool. So I know when I was a teacher, I would have to spend 5 minutes giving kids a website, and we'd be up there and the kids would say, well, is that a 0? Is that an O? Is that a capital I? Is that an L? We now have software that once the kids log in, the teacher starts a session, they can actually push an app out to the entire classroom in about 10 seconds. So we're trying to use some more software to be able to save instructional time and be able to use it for the actual instruction instead of trying to get to a website. So there's a lot of different pieces with that. There's also ways that we can focus the kids' learning down to a single website so they can't get off task and go to a different website. So you'll see this being used throughout the year. And once again, if you ever need to know anything about what your student's doing on the device, we do have track of everything that they're doing on these Chromebooks 24/7. So if you would like a report about that, please talk with your building principal, and we'd be happy to give you a report in the next couple of days about exactly what your student's been doing on the Chromebook, what sites they've been visiting, so on and so forth. Next, I'd like to take a minute to talk about the student responsibilities with their Chromebook. All right, so first thing is the Chromebook that you're getting today, you are going to have that same exact Chromebook until you enter high school. So for you 6th graders, you'll have it for 3 years, and for the 5th graders, you'll have it for the next 4 years. So this is your Chromebook. It is going to be your responsibility to make sure that you take care of this and that it's in good working order so that you can use it over the next 3 or 4 years. Do not leave your Chromebook unattended. Do not leave it in an unlocked area. All right. So you'll be working with your teachers, and your teachers will talk to you about what to do about it when you go to lunch, when you go to recess. We really don't want you taking your Chromebooks down to the lunchroom. We really don't want you taking them outside to recess either. So talk with your teachers. They'll tell you what to do. Also be careful with them when you take them home. Some of you I know may not go directly home. You may have sporting practice, you may have dance, you may have something else that you're going to. So please be very careful with these devices when you're not at school and when you're not directly using them. Okay. Students, your biggest responsibility is that you need to bring this with you every single day of the school year, starting with the first day of school next Tuesday. All right. Also, students, you need to make sure that your Chromebook is charged to 100% every night, and you need to bring it to school fully charged. Every single one of these Chromebooks has about 10-hour battery life on them, so they should last for the entire school day. We are not going to allow you to charge or recharge these at school. There's a couple of issues, but the main one is the safety issue of having a classroom where we have 25 kids plugging these all in at the same time. There would be cords all over the place, and we'd have numerous tripping hazards. So we do not and will not allow kids to charge these during the school day. So what happens if you don't charge these when you come in? Then you're going to be backlogged on some schoolwork, and you're going to have to do some when you get home to be able to charge the device. So bring it to school every day. Have it fully charged. You're not bringing your charger with you. Leave that at home. All right? That's your biggest responsibility to get started with these devices. All right? Also, students, remember that you must abide by the Pickerington Local School District Acceptable Use Policy. All right? That basically means that you will follow school rules while you're using these devices. You will not go to inappropriate sites. You will not use these in inappropriate ways. If you'd like to take a look at the Pickerington Local School District Acceptable Use Policy, please go to that same webpage that I showed you at the beginning, and then that will give you a link to get to the different policies, including the Acceptable Use Policy. Also, students, remember that having these devices is a privilege, and that privilege can be revoked at any time. So please make sure that you're being a positive student, both in the classroom and in the digital world as well. Parents and students, just to let you know, most of the social media sites have been blocked on these, so students will not be able to access the grand majority of the social media sites. Our last section today is I'd like to talk about the Technology Protection Plan. This is the Technology Protection Plan that you just filled out, and this talks about the coverage, effective dates, and basically what it is that you're going to be able to get out of agreeing to this premium. Okay? So first of all, this is $34 per year per device. Okay? And what it'll cover is it'll cover 2 incidences, so minor incidences. Let's say the keyboard stops working, or let's say the touch screen gets cracked. Those are what we consider minor incidences. Or this protection plan will also cover 1 complete replacement. Okay? If you choose not to do this protection plan, you will be held liable for any costs associated with the device. And on the back of this technology protection plan, it actually has all of the costs to each one of these devices, each one of these parts. So if your child cracks the screen, you're going to be charged $189. And so on and so forth. You can see the list there. The technology protection plan does not cover the power cord. So please make sure that you watch that power cord. I would just keep it plugged in somewhere in your house, and that way your child knows this is where I'm going to charge my Chromebook at every single night. Just leave it plugged in so it's there and ready to go. Okay? So the technology protection plan only covers those things that are considered accidents or manufacturer defects. Okay? If your student does something like throws it down the stairs or punches the keyboard, those are not considered things that we're going to cover under the technology protection plan. Okay? It is going to be up to each individual building principal, who we've had long discussions about this, to determine if this was an accident or a manufacturer's defect, or if this was something that the students did purposefully. Okay? So please make sure, students, once again, you are taking care of your devices. If something does go wrong with your device, let's say something stops working, or you did crack the screen or something, what you need to do is you need to take it down to the media center. You need to have a conversation with the media center aide. She will fill out a help desk ticket. That help desk ticket will go to one of my technology guys. They'll come over, they'll take a look at it. You as the student will be immediately given a loaner device. Okay? This loaner device will be exactly the same thing as the Chromebook you have now. You can go back to class, you can immediately log in, and since you're not logging in directly into the Chromebook, but you're logging into the cloud, everything that you had in Google Drive, everything that you had in Gmail is right there, and you can once again go right back into what you're doing for class. Once that my guys figures out what's wrong with it and they fix it, we'll then get it back to you. So the media center aide will get it back to you, and she'll notify either you or she'll notify the teacher that you can come back down and pick it up. You bring the loaner device back down, give her the loaner device, and you'll get your actual Chromebook back. We're anticipating that this is going to take about a week or so, and hopefully as we get more into this, we'll be able to speed that process time up. The major issues with the Chromebooks, there's two major issues that I've talked with other schools that have this device. The first one is kids will tend to pick up the Chromebook, and here's my Chromebook again, pick up the Chromebook by the screen. Students, we do not want you picking this up by the screen. We want you holding it by the base. Okay? And basically what happens here is a lot of times kids will really pull on this really hard, and this top piece will come completely off. Okay? The other problem is sometimes kids will leave headphones or earbuds right here on the screen, or a pencil, and then they'll close the device. Well, when they close the device, if they close it hard enough, the screen will crack. So once again, just be careful that you're not leaving anything on the keyboard, and be careful that you're actually holding the device the way in which it should be held, which is by the base or by the bottom. Last thing is if you determine that your device has been stolen or lost, you need to notify your classroom teacher or your building principal ASAP. All of these Chromebooks have geolocation software on them in which I can activate if needed, and we only activate it if it's needed, if something's been stolen. So what will happen is if it's been stolen or been lost, I'll activate the geolocation software. We'll do that by your serial number, your asset tag number, which is engraved on the front of your Chromebook. And then with that, we'll be able to tell exactly where that Chromebook is. We'll be able to deactivate it so it basically becomes a paperweight. And then we'll hopefully be able to get that device back, reactivate it, and get it back to the student. Okay? But I need to know, the building principals need to know ASAP if your device has been stolen or lost. All right, so thank you very much for listening. And your next step and your last step today is that you're actually going to go down to the gym and you are going to get your Chromebook. So you should have a green sheet of paper, or you're going to be getting that green sheet of paper here in a minute. Take that down, give it to the people that are in line for your Chromebook, and off you go.